This is a demonstration of the automatic route planning module for Vision Distribution, which is the delivery and logistics planning application of the Vision software suite. Now we're going to jump straight in to see the module in action. So what you're looking at here is the route planning screen available from the delivery planning menu, and we have all of our outstanding deliveries in the bottom left side grid. These are all the deliveries waiting to be planned, and in the top grid we have all of our available transport items or drivers. Now the system is capable of planning many deliveries, and for that reason we have these collapsible panels which allow us to take as much of the screen as possible for working through long lists of data. So first we select the deliveries we want to plan by dragging them over to the right side grid. We can straight away see various columns containing important information for planning, such as the weight and quantities. If we want to see more information, then we can right click and go to the column chooser to bring more columns into the grid, or we can double click to open up the delivery, showing us all of the information about the delivery. So what we can see as we move the deliveries across is the consignment summary section updating at the top of the screen. And this gives us a good indication of the total weight of all deliveries, the total number of drops, how many cases or pallets we have to plan. It also gives us a good indication of how many drivers we need for planning. So we repeat the same process of selecting the drivers we want to use and drag them over from the left grid to the right until we have more than enough capacity. So we can see now in the consignments we have 6,000 kilos, and for the drivers selected they have a total capacity of 7,000. When we've done that, we click View Plan. Now what happens is all of the information we've chosen is submitted to a routing engine. So I'm going to switch over to some slides now. Now the routing engine integrated is used by more than 5,000 businesses globally, including DFDS, DHL, Hermes, Kuehne+Nagel and TNT, processing a total of more than 45 million requests per day. The way it works is by attempting many different plans and combinations until the most optimal route is found. To do this, it needs to know the type of vehicle the driver is using for average speeds, weight, height and speed restrictions, the loading capacity of the vehicle, the driving regulations for driving in the area, the driver's brake rules, where the vehicle needs to start and finish, if depot or his home address. It also has to respect the dates and times booked for certain deliveries, and it's trying to do all of that with the fewest number of vehicles required, with the deliveries planned in the optimum drop order to ensure that deliveries are made on time. So it's for that reason on the screen behind, before we click View Plan, we can change certain parameters, for example, to limit the time it has to optimize the routes. If we leave this as the default, it will take as long as it needs to route everything efficiently. We have other parameters to prioritize the importance of other variables too. For example, the lowest number of vehicles, if that's most important to us, then we can change that to important or very important. If we care more about keeping the total number of driver manifests to a minimum, then we can make the tour count more important. If total distance or total time per manifest is a priority, then we can set those instead. When it's finished, we're presented with a map showing the routes planned on the left. The blue pinpoints are deliveries or drops. The orange marker in the middle is our depot. We can click and drag around the map as you'd expect. You can also zoom in and out using the buttons or the mouse wheel. And can also click a route to find out which driver it's for, or click a delivery to find out more information about the delivery. On the right side we have two tabs. We're going to jump straight to the second tab. This shows us all of the deliveries which couldn't be automatically planned. For example, if we didn't provide enough drivers with enough total capacity, or if we have a really large delivery which won't fit onto any vehicle, or perhaps a delivery that's too far out based on the driving time regulations. First tab shows us detailed information about the routes which could be planned. So the top level that we can see here shows us an overall summary showing how many manifests were planned, the total kilometres, driving time, and the total time, which includes the time at the delivery point to drop the goods. The next level down shows us the chains. The chain is the list of manifests prepared for each driver. Usually it's one manifest per driver, but potentially it could be more. For example, if he's at capacity for a small number of deliveries in the morning, but there's enough time to do another round shortly after before finishing. The chain information tells us the total kilometres and the time for the driver, and how many kilometres over all of his manifests. It also shows us the time to the end location, for example, their home, and the time they're due to finish. The next level down shows us the manifests, or tours. This level shows us how many deliveries are within the manifest, the total distance, start time, the latest time the driver could potentially start, and also the driving time. The columns at the end tell us a total for how many physical cases, invoice cases, and kilos the driver has to pick up, deliver, and the maximum for each of these three values he'll be holding at any point during the route. Final level, of course, shows us the deliveries within the manifest, displaying similar information, including the distance to the delivery, the time it will take to get there from the previous point, arrival and departure times, and the total quantities he'll have at that point of the route. All of this useful information is stored in vision distribution for use later, and there's also the ability to calculate and store more information such as emissions, which some businesses use to monitor their carbon footprint. To finalise the plan, we close the screen and we click Accept Plan. We're then presented with the depot plan to view it, where later adjustments can be made. Something to note here is that if we expand the manifest, we'll see all of the drops are ordered as per the plan. This obviously feeds through to our driver's smartphone application Vision ePod for when he downloads his manifest. The module also brings more features. For example, in all of the manifest screens, we can recall the map showing all drops. So for example, here in the depot plan, we can click the map and see all of the drops with their drop numbers. We can also click the map for an individual delivery to view that alone in the map. And this is also available when manually planning. The same map is also available from the delivery screen if we click this button. Now this is a pick up and deliver type order. So if we go to the Charges tab and click the View Route button, we can see our depot, our pickup point, and our delivery point. And also some useful information here, which helps with quoting, such as the total kilometres and time. Fuel and emission information is also available if that's configured on the system. So a lot of really useful features. Now let's look at how it all works. Let's start with the delivery screen. I've already entered some information here, but not yet saved the delivery. The first button by the delivery address is an amber tick. This means that we've not yet retrieved the coordinates. All of the mapping features demonstrated so far rely on the latitude and longitude of the delivery and/or pickup address being stored. So if we click the tick or simply save the delivery, the coordinates are automatically retrieved and the tick changes to green. As soon as that happens, the map is available for us to click and see the delivery point on it. The other two buttons here allow us to make changes to the coordinates of the address, which is very rarely required. And the third button allows us to view and edit pre-saved attributes for the address. So if we click that, we can see that we can store particular vehicle types which cannot be used to deliver to the address. And on the right side, we have particular service codes for the address, which during route planning will automatically match the deliveries to suitable drivers. For example, if special handling is required, two-man delivery, and so on. These service codes can also be sent through electronically for each individual delivery when the orders are sent to the warehouse, which are visible in the service code field. For deliveries automatically imported from external systems, such as our warehouse management system, Vision Warehousing, the process is the same, except the coordinates are automatically retrieved on a regular schedule, and the delivery is put on hold temporarily until they're retrieved. So moving over to the Deliveries on Hold screen, We have tabs for awaiting coordinate retrieval, showing deliveries which have recently been imported and are waiting to have the coordinates retrieved. And we have another tab if the coordinates cannot be found, where invalid addresses can be corrected. The awaiting restrictions confirmation shows any deliveries with vehicle restrictions to be confirmed and released by the user for planning. So to demonstrate some of the settings available, we'll start by looking at the transport item or the driver record. And over in the routing tab, the first field we have is the vehicle type. Here we have options for transit, HGV, car, bike, and so on. The driving regulations applicable to this driver are the Great Britain rules. And over here we can see how those rules are defined. So to pick a few, a maximum of 10 hours driving time per day is permitted. The regulation currently states that 11 hours is the maximum duty time in a working day. So we have the minimum daily rest time set to 13 hours. But we can be very specific here with all of the settings available to ensure that the routing is performed in line with the regulations. Coming back to the transport item maintenance. Over here we can define the capacities of the driver's vehicle with the maximum cases and kilos it can hold. We can also restrict the maximum time we want this particular driver to be working for us each day if that's required, or limit the maximum number of manifest or deliveries we want to give him per day. At the bottom we can define his starting address or depot along with the end address. Switching over to the depot settings. Here we can define the times we allow the drivers from the depot to arrive at the delivery points. If individual deliveries don't have specific times defined, of course. We can also set the loading times permitted at the depot. So here we have 6 AM to 4 PM to allow the drivers to return to the depot to pick up a second load. We can also define other maximum limits for the total time and driving time, the kilometers per manifest, and how many seconds per case, and minimum and maximum times at a drop point to calculate an estimate for the time required at the delivery points to drop the goods. And also if we want to group multiple deliveries going to the same address. So that's about all for today. That's the basics of the automated route planning module for vision distribution.